Our webinar focus on transform your mine planning with MineScape and discover the next generation of mining blocks. And in this case, we're going to look at how to create the mining blocks for the existing pit design, how to create the mining blocks for single bench, and also how to create the mining blocks for the dam designs that you have or stockpiles in preparation for your technical scheduling or for a scheduling software that are out there. And one thing that I just want to quickly go through before I go any further, just to introduce myself to those that might have missed it. I'm Rupomelo, also known as Rips. I'm a mining engineer, mining consultant with DataMine with a very big smile. As you can see there on the picture, I've been with DataMine for the past 5 years to 6 years, and I've worked in different operations in South Africa and here in Australia. Cool. And then this is all this slide only focus on the solutions that we have. If you're not familiar with DataMine or you have not been to our website recently, we have different portfolios. We have the exploration solutions that we currently have, the geology solutions, the planning solutions. And in today's webinar, we're going to be looking at the planning solution, where we're going to be looking at MineScape Engineering that focus on stratigraphic deposits, such as your coal, your phosphate, and so forth. We also have other solutions like the production that looks at tracking reconciliation. We have the laboratory solutions, the LIMS that looks at all the compliance and the accuracy. And we have the final one, which is part of our sustainability or ESG. So we have the full scope of ESG in there, environmental sustainability and governance. And so now I'll begin our demo for this webinar, and I'll take you through what I just wanted to show you today. Then at the end, you can have the questions, and then we'll be able to answer most of the questions. If you can't answer, we'll be able to send you an email and give you a follow-up on that. Thank you. So to begin our webinar, this is our webinar. I'll start with generating the mining blocks for an existing pit. As you can see, I have the topography in here. I also have the pit design that was done, can be done on another software or imported into the software, or you might have done it in here. And what we want to do is to generate the mining blocks, can create mining blocks or create a new scenario in here. I'm going to call it pit 02. And then you can see you have 3 types of option, be it single, multiple bench, or pit. So I'm going to use the pit option. And then what you need to do is to select the topography that you currently have. So I'm going to go and select the topography that we have in here. Just pick it, and then I'll also select the pit design that I have done. So that is the pit design that we have done, and it's going to output it there. So in the next part, you can have a bench spec that actually shows you how you want to cut your mining blocks. So I have this one that is using an elevation of 30, different bench height, or you can use, I'll just quickly show you another one where you can use different surfaces to cut through. So you can have the top surfaces and the bottom surfaces. So I'll show you this one now, quickly edit it so you can see. So you can have the surfaces, you can see of the topo as a top surface, the bottom surface, sim1 floor, and so forth. So you're able to define different surfaces, or you can use a combination of 2 where you have the RL or elevations, and you can use the topo surface, and you can define those benches as you wish. In this case, you just call it col 1 or sim 4, sim 5, and sim 6 using different surfaces or using elevation. And you select that bench spec that you want to use. In this case, I'm just going to use the one for benches with different elevation. And then you can select the geological model. So when it runs the reserve for you, you have that geological model. In here, you can create the rapid slicer where you can go and split your blocks and how you want to split your block. So it's just quick, easily, you drag and drop, and then you can just move that on the side. I come in and define the width of my blocks. Can start with the 50 by 50 blocks, and we see how big they are or how small they are. So it seems very small when I drag it through. I'll just change it maybe to 150 by 150. and then I can just drag it back to cover the whole area of the pit. Just bring it back in there. Yep. And you can change that width, or you can actually rotate your grid of how you're gonna slice your blocks. You can adjust it based on the blocks that you want to generate. So in this case, I'm just gonna go for 250 by 250, and you can set the angles in here on how it cuts your blocks in here, so you can be able to use that option to have different angles in there, and you can set for each and every line that you see in there. And the next part, it's all about the namings of how you want to name your blocks, be top left or bottom left, and you can change that. So I'm just gonna click apply. And so I want me to have an editable layer, so I'm just gonna make a layer editable in there. Just quickly write it, and then we'll run it again. So now it's going to generate the mining blocks for us in our pit design, and following the topography and following the design that we have done. So you can see we have all these mining blocks in here. Just close that so it's out of our way. And you can see we have all the mining blocks, a difference of them based on the bench spec that we have defined, be it using the surfaces or using different elevations. So you can see quickly, you can go through, and we'll close that. So the next part, I'll just quickly run the reserves for this. I go to calculate the reserves. You select the scenario that you want to use. So in this case, we're focusing on pit 02. When I look at pit 02, and yeah, just switch off that one. I'm gonna switch off the app pit 02, and then I can bring in the geological model and the quality model, and in here you can have the material that you want in there, the overbed, then colon interbed, then and all the intervals that you want to intersect. And you can have, I'll just delete the sim 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll leave sim 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. And you can create custom intervals like this one from the topography to RL of -100, and you can show different colors in there. And you can add the qualities that you have in your quality model. And once that it's all done, you can click OK. So it's going to run the reserves for you and generate the reserves table and write the information in the blocks as metadata. And you can see at the bottom right there. So you have all the qualities that in there. Shows you the in situ densities that is in there. You can see if there's waste or anything. And you can see all the qualities that are in there. So it just shows you, let's just pick one that might have coal, and I'll show you shortly. Yep, so you can see you have the total volume, the total resources, if all the qualities in there. If you have waste, it's going to show you in that block if you have waste. So that's how you can quickly generate that, and then you can generate the report for that for all the blocks that you have. So we select pit 02, we generate the blocks of all that we have, and then let's quickly see what we get on our report. It's still running. Just give it a few seconds, and in the report it's going to show you who did it, the timestamp. But yeah, so the next part that I'm going to show you is to create the mining blocks for a single bench. So I'm going to use the single bench option. I'm going to give it a new scenario. Just going to call it bench for AET in this case. So that's what I'm going to look at, bench for AET. Okay, let's see. Okay, and for single bench, so in this case, you can see I want for this truck and shovel bench in here, I have the polygon, I want to create the mining blocks for that bench in there. And the input is to select the topography that you can use for. So this is useful for short term. And then you can go and select the polygon that you want to use. In this case, that is the polygon that we're going to use. Pick it and convert it into a design polygon. All good. And then you can assign different cut angles for that one in there. So let's switch off the topography. Just gonna bring it back, sorry. Switch off the render order, bring my polygon to the top. Yep, okay. So for this polygon, you can assign different cut angles. So if you click on assign different cut angles, you're able to assign different angles in each and every vertices that you have. So I'll just go for 75 in here, 75 degree as an angle, and just fill it up throughout. But you can have different angles in each and every vertices, and the software will know what to do there. And then you can, the bottom level, you can either use the surfaces or you can use the ZRL or you can use a bench spec. So I'm going to use this surface that I created, bench 480. That was not exactly a 480, it was looping. Then we click on apply. Okay, it's running. Okay, it's all done. And it generated a mesh for us. So we have the bench, our scenario was bench 480, 01 480. Just gonna refresh to find it there. And there it is. So you can see, just close that. Okay. And so you can see it generated the blocks. So these are the blocks for either for the truck and shovel operation that we're looking at using all the definitions that we have done. So in here, what I want to do with this one, I want to either generate a small mining blocks across, cut it. So I just put it on blend view, so it's easy for us to see, just to slice it through. I'm gonna make this layer editable, so it's easy to draw the color lines. So you can bring in the color lines and import them, and using 90, so I can pick that one to cut, and then I'll just draw a line across. So just quickly bring that to, yep, it was here then, so it's back now. So let's quickly draw the color lines. So I'll draw the color line in the air, right? And then when I do that, it automatically cuts. And for us to see that, I'll just toggle the tooltip shortly, just so you can see that it's actually cutting across. So toggle the tooltip, cut the second one first, and okay, toggle the tooltip, and you can see it shows you the different volume as you keep on cutting. So it's interactively as you keep on slicing, it shows you the volume that you currently have. So keep on slicing it through, and you can see different volumes in there that you have, and you can either delete the line or move it, and it will update as you keep on moving, showing you the volume. So if you have to satisfy with the blocks that you just created, so create the last one in there, yep. And you can bring in color lines that you already have, import them, and then use them. You don't need to quickly generate, draw them like I did. And then I'll just say cut end, done with my cutting. I have all that, and then switch off that, so you can see I have different blocks that I have cut for this truck and shovel level that I have throughout. Okay, cool. And then we can just switch off the solid outline, so you can see the outlines of where I did the cutting. Just shows you the outline throughout, right? Yeah. So, and then the next thing will be to calculate the reserve for that scenario also. So you can calculate the reserve for specific bench if you want, and selecting the geological model that you have. And also you can either use all the blocks that we have. So we're not going to split them, use all the blocks or use individual ones. And then the intervals that we have in there, bring in the qualities. We just calculate the reserve quickly. Okay, quickly it's generating, updating everything, and we go and see the report of what we have. Okay, open the report. So it shows you the overbed, then the thickness, average thickness for each and every block. If you have interbed, then it's just going to show you, but we don't have anything. And this was waste, so it's not going to show us any qualities, but it will tell you the total tonnages that is in there. And if you're happy with the report, you can save it, automatically save on the software. Yeah. So another thing that you can do is you can actually generate an updated topography using with those blocks that we have. So what I want to do in this case, I have this topography, and I want to remove all these blocks and get the latest topography in here. So I can go to mining blocks to DTM. So quickly select my topography. Just gonna, yep. Yep, sorry about that. Pick my topography that I have that I want to update, and pick in the group that it's at. It's yep, the topography, and then bring in all the blocks that I want to use. So all the blocks that I want to use, and I'm gonna I'll put it into topo in there, and then I'm gonna give it a new name so we can compare the two to see what actually happened in there. So I'm just gonna call it the updated topo. Okay. Right, oh cool, and click OK. So now if it's running, and then we can see the difference between the two. You can see of the topo and the updated one. You can see the updated one, it took out all those blocks as if you have mined them, so it's easy to generate the latest topography, either the blend topography. Then you can see the difference between the two in here. Yep, we can quickly see difference between the two. So that. Right, so the next thing is to generate the blocks for the in-pit dumping. So I'm gonna mine that material and come and dump it here, and we can do a webinar in future for the scheduling and show you how we can do that. So you can generate that. I'm gonna select the dump option in here. So you have two options. Can either use the crust and tour, or you can use the cut selection. In this case, I'm gonna use the cut selection because I already have that, and the topography that I want to use. So let's pick the latest one that we just created, update topo. Yep. And then we can also have a boundary polygon. So it covers the area that you want it to cover. That is my boundary polygon. Okay, all good. And I want to output it into a new group. I'm gonna call it in-pit dump in here. Okay, cool. Right. And then I'm going to use the cut selection. So I'm going to create the solid first. It's a few steps to get there. So I'm going to select everything in here, create the solid. So to create a solid for the dump without anything. So that is the solid. And then the next part, it's all about the naming convention of how you name it. And then I'm going to create, use bench height of 5. Or you can use a bench spec if you have. So I want to keep it bench height of 5 in this case for my dump, but you can use different ones that you have. So let's see. That is our design in there. Okay, let's quickly go to the next part. Okay, sorry about that. I think something happened. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, video cut through. So it's just gonna fix that. Okay. So I can just quickly show you this part in here, generating the dump. Select the boundary as I've mentioned, so you can pick in the boundary that you have. Okay. And then so it limits where your dump is gonna be. So it's not all over, it's just within your region, and then you're gonna output it into that in pit dump. So let's quickly do that. Yep. Right, and we can create the solid mesh as I've mentioned previously. So create the solid mesh. Yep, select all that, create the solid mesh for us. Okay, there it is. And then the next one will be to create the naming of the polygon. As I've mentioned, you can use the benches if you have to use the bench height, or you can use the bench spec, or you can use the bench height. Just gonna use the bench height and split this using the bench height. So fix that.